And right now you're taking a look at the motorcade. It is headed to Jimmy Carter's boyhood home. You just saw a shot of the National Park Rangers who maintain that property, and that is where we'll see those park rangers ring the bell at his boyhood farm 39 times to represent him as the 39th president.
They've now brought flags in onto the property, and you see the rangers there kind of in formation there behind the bell, anticipating the arrival of the hearse and that moment to reflect at the property where it all began. I heard President Carter sharing stories of sleepovers when he was very young with his best friend, who in the front room, it was just a little skinny mattress on the floor and there were some corn husks on the floor, just to illustrate those beginnings that we're talking about on this property that you're seeing now, where they'll ring the bell. And Jeff, there was a moment as the motorcade went through Plains that Ariana and I looked at each other. It was very sweet. There was a little boy on the side just with a salute. With that salute. The stories you're telling about, you know, even Billy Carter, like these are stories that will be now passed on through the generations.
That is certainly the hope there. If you're really interested in Jimmy Carter and his relationship with his boyhood home, in this month's edition of The New Yorker, there's an essay about an author who went to Plains, who met with Jimmy Carter. This was maybe a couple of years ago, and obviously more than a couple of years ago, but was telling the story about Jimmy Carter giving a tour of his boyhood home. It's worth the read if you have the opportunity to be near the internet at some point today.
And this moment also represents the foundation. We talk about his view on race. This is where he spent time on the farm with his black friends, as we mentioned. We had some people that he worked on the farm with. He didn't see them as, you know, the race, you know, growing up in that time, the racial tension, but he saw them as his friends. And every stop that we're going to see on this journey today really represents every point, every legacy, everything that built Jimmy Carter to who he was as a president, as a leader, as a governor.
Yeah. Sumter County is African American majority, significantly, and it has always leaned that way politically as well, but it certainly is among many of the 159 counties in Georgia, certainly a lesson in race and history for all of us to try to understand.
And to the point that you both make, his connection to civil rights and to human rights, and what took him to some of the poorest places around the world, because he lived in a very poor place to start his life. The motorcade now right. Pulling up in front of the home, the very first of the cars. The hearse will pass by his childhood home here in just a moment. Again, it will stop and the bells will be rung. But just a moment here, as this is a significant stop along the way before President Carter makes that final trip to the city of Atlanta, as it's now approaching the boyhood home in Archery, Georgia.